Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2, and today I'll be showing you guys the brand new True Patriot gear set that has been released, along with the other two gear sets with the most recent update that brought out World Tier 5, the new Tidal, Basin, Stronghold, etc. If you'd like to see reviews on the other two gear sets, Marco Style currently already has a review posted for the ongoing directive gear set, and I'm sure we'll make one for the hardwired gear set as well, so definitely make sure to check that out. I'm just only going to be making a review on True Patriot. Like always, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop a like as that helps me out a ton, and subscribe for videos similar to this one. But anyways, let's get right into it. So starting off as a quick rundown of what gear sets actually are, they're pretty much just brand sets, but instead of only having bonuses for 3 pieces, they have bonuses for up to 6 pieces, with the 4-piece, 5-piece, and 6-piece being pretty unique and not just having flat statistic bonuses. Currently, you can get True Patriot and Ongoing Directive very easily. They drop off of NPCs a ton, pretty much just like normal high-ends would. I was able to actually get all 6 pieces of them in a pretty short amount of time, so I'm sure you guys will as well. But the other set, on the other hand, Hardwired, it doesn't actually drop from the ground at the moment. You have to get it by doing projects and a few other things in order to actually craft them, and it's a whole mess. This makes it very time consuming to get, which I guess is pretty unfortunate. Not really sure why they would make it so difficult for one of them and the other two are just free to get. That's besides the point, I guess. The only thing special about these gear sets, besides the fact that they have 6-piece bonuses, is that they can't roll with talents. So as you can see on all of my True Patriot gear and my ongoing directive gear, I don't have a single talent on either of them. And I'll get more into my thoughts about that later, but I figured it was worth mentioning before getting more into it. Another thing to note is I'm not 100% sure if this is always the same, but for every True Patriot piece I have, it only has defensive mod slots, so there are no, offensive or utility mod slots. And the same pretty much goes for Ongoing Directive, but instead almost every single piece has utility mod slots. There's like one defensive, I think, on the chest piece, but pretty much everywhere else has utility. And I assume it's similar, probably with offensive mod slots on Hardwired as well. Can't confirm that 100% though, but that's definitely something to keep in mind. One more thing I'm not 100% sure about, but is kind of important, is apparently you can also get higher attribute rolls on gear sets than other rolls. I assume this would be to compensate for the lack of talents. Personally though, I haven't seen any gear sets roll with very high attribute rolls. Somebody said they got a mask with like 50% damage to elites on it, which is obviously much higher than normal masks can roll. Again, I'm not certain that this is true, so this maybe could just be complete bullshit. But if anybody has any gear set pieces with very high rolls on it, please let me know in the comments down below. It's entirely possible that that isn't true at all, so I don't know. Anyways, getting into the gear set itself, for having 2 pieces equipped, you get a bonus of 10% damage to enemy armor, which on paper actually sounds pretty decent, but I'm not sure if it's working properly. I tested this in the shooting range, and going from only having 1 piece of True Patriot on to having 2 pieces with additional enemy armor damage bonus, my gun was doing the exact same amount of damage to the target dummy's armor, so I'm not sure if this is a bug within the shooting range, if the additional damaged armor straight up doesn't work, maybe it only works in PvP, maybe I don't know how to properly test it and there's some behind the scenes shit that I have no idea about, who knows, but as of right now it appears as if it doesn't do anything, at least wise in PvE. For the 3-piece bonus, we have 10% protection from elites. There's really not much to say here. I guess this just relates to damage reduction from elites, but in all honesty, I think 10% is kind of useless and probably won't make much of a difference. I really don't think you're going to be able to tell the difference between taking 10% less damage, but I digress. For the 4-piece, we have a total of 10% additional armor, which, I suppose is okay. It's not too bad. I guess it's just unfortunate that this set is desperately trying to be a tank set while you're losing so much damage, but I don't know, we'll get more into that later. For the 5-piece, here's where things get interesting. You actually finally get the active talents as opposed to just passive. So when you shoot an enemy, you apply a debuff to them. Debuffs are applied in the order of red, white, blue, and they cycle every 4 seconds. I believe this description to be a little bit disingenuous. I think it's kind of implying that it will always mark an enemy with red, then white, then blue, in that order every time. Actually, the way that it works is that your character is going to have the buff attached to them, cycling every 4 seconds. So this is going to be separate from you applying the debuff or shooting it. So whatever color is showing on your character, that is the color that you will apply to the enemy in the form of a debuff when you shoot. So the red debuff is going to decrease damage dealt by the enemy. I'm assuming that this value is low because if not, it would be decently strong in PvP, but in PvE it doesn't seem to make a difference whatsoever after playing with the set for a bit. I would have been able to test it in PvP, but as I was making this video, the servers went down, so yeah, I'm just going to assume that it's a pretty low value. Personally, after using it for a bit, I think that it's kind of useless. Maybe somebody can prove me wrong, but I think the percentage that you get from it is pretty low. For the white debuff, it restores armor to friendlies that shoot this enemy with the debuff on it. You as well also get the extra armor when you shoot the enemy or if another teammate shoots the enemy. And my god, the amount of armor that you get has to be less than like 1%. It's extremely negligible and honestly won't impact your gameplay at all. I think this is the funniest part about the set because it literally basically just does nothing. For blue, this is going to boost your skill cooldown reduction to friendlies and yourself when you shoot this enemy. I'm not entirely sure of how much cooldown reduction you actually get for this or if it scales based on how many times you hit the target, but after briefly testing it, it appears as if it reduces cooldown by a very small percentage per shot hit. It's not the worst thing in the world, actually. It's probably the better part of this, even though this is meant to be a tanky / damagey type of set. So it's ironic that the good part about it is cooldown reduction related. But honestly, the cooldowns on skills aren't super relevant, and you don't really get the buff consistently. And skill cooldowns don't matter that much also when you're running a tanky type of a build. You don't really have any skill power stuff. But anyways, moving on to the 6-piece. Shooting an enemy that has all 3 debuffs, meaning all red, white, and blue stacked on top of them, meaning that they got shot by all of these before. When you shoot them with 3 debuffs, it will deal 25% damage to other nearby enemies that have at least 1 debuff on them. I'm not sure if there is a range cap on this, but I'd be very surprised if not. But even if there isn't, the extra 25% damage is only 25% of what your gun is currently doing, which in all honesty ends up being very underwhelming, along with the fact that you have to mark multiple enemies in order to benefit from this in the first place. And honestly, time to kill in this game is just so fast that even if you're doing the hardest content in the game with 4 people, you'll rarely ever have an opportunity to get all 3 debuffs on an enemy, let alone have all 3 debuffs on one enemy and then debuffs on another enemy in order to actually benefit from the extra damage. And you'll only ever be able to get 3 debuffs on an enemy because you're doing such low damage with the build in the first place. So yeah, regardless, the healing you get, the cooldown reduction, and like I said, the extra damage, I think is just way too low to warrant ever using this set. Not only are the set bonuses themselves rather lackluster in how much they actually do, but I don't think that they will at all make up for the loss of talents on each individual piece of gear. I would much rather have Berserk, Unstoppable Force, hard-hitting, precise, devastating, skill power, extra armor, etc., than ever have this gear set. On top of that, like I mentioned earlier, this gear set only has defensive mod slots on them, so good luck doing decent damage without having any talents or any offensive mod slots. Honestly, I'm not very happy with this set because with how it stands currently, I can't think of a single instance where it would actually be good to run this over any other typical build. And that's a shame because now every time I see True Patriot gear, it's just going to instantly get deconstructed. I know some people are probably going to say, oh, well, it'll be good in raid because the NPCs will have so much health and you guys will all want to use True Patriot. That's not the case, man. Everybody in raid would much rather just run a pure DPS build rather than running this because the bonuses from this just, they don't warrant ever using them regardless of the circumstance. Hopefully they do make some changes to this before the raid though to make it a little bit more viable and maybe more interesting, who knows. But as it stands, I think it's borderline useless and you would only be hurting yourself by using it over using something else. But anyways, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe for videos similar to this one. Make sure to follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Nick2. I've been streaming every day and I'd love to see more of you guys later over there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.